Hello everybody. Welcome to the information seminar of social design. I'm the program leader of the this top-up program, BA Honors in Social Design. My name is King. Today I will invite you to look into our program a little bit, and if you are applicants having an associate degrees or higher diploma in design studies and social science or technology or other disciplines, you are eligible to apply for the social design program. And I will just let everybody know that social design program is a very different program in our BA disciplines, because we invite different students from different disciplines to join the program in order to have more interactions and learn together from the different disciplines. But before I start introducing the program in details, I just want you to take a quick visual tour on how we operate. And before that, I want to explain a little bit of our study approach first. From my experience, I understand that students in their studies are very used to this, I call it screen-based studies. Screen-based studies meaning you sit in front of the computer, you do research through the web, and always look at the screen to find information. And then after you read this information from the screen, you download it, and then you study them, and then you will have to write essay and submit to the teachers. Okay, this is what I call essay-based studies. In your previous training, I think you are very familiar with essay-based assignment as well. But I would tell you that our study approach is a little bit different. We will encourage you to do a lot of field-based studies, meaning that you have to go out to the field to observe in the real context, observe in the real world, and study things from the real situations. So after you have all these studies and observations, then you will come back to the studio. In our design school, there are a lot of studio-based subjects, meaning that you really have to work out something in the studios. It's beyond the screen, okay? So I will just show you some of the pictures of what we do in classes. Okay, for example, this is a class called Researching People, Things, and Contexts. And then you could see a lot of text on a display board. And I was encouraging students to go out to the screen, like searching definition from the web, only for the first time, first day. And after that, they are not just doing the definition part or making this kind of display of definitions. They need to go out and work with people. Like in this exercise, the students work with partners called MAD, like Make a Difference Institute. And they had the walkability lab like a few months ago. And then they start to go out to the field, and you see a lot of pictures are taken. And then from some of the social contexts in Sam Shui Po. So they bring back the pictures, and they discuss with the partners and try to find out some of the insight of what they have been observing. And then they start to analyze the pictures and do all the like mapping exercise. Say for example, this one, this is another subject called Visualizing Network, Media, and Community. So we sent students out to Wan Chai and look into how people throw away their glass bottle. So they document a lot of observations, and then they define the area of studies, and then something like they take pictures, and then they also look into some of the happenings on that site. And then they make a map to visualize what they have found at the studio, like this. So you could see that in the studio, they bring back all their observations through taking pictures, writing notes, and all these different insights they have been jotting down, and then try to organize some of the interpretations of their work. So this is what I call the field-based studies, and also studio-based studies. You could see more of those exercise at the studio, and then students will be answering questions in the studio and displaying their findings through designing the display. Okay, so here is another examples of students going out to do studies. In a class called Creative Citizenship in Practice, students are asked to identify their social concern, and then they need to take a picture of that and then write up some kind of description of their concerns through this kind of means. Okay, observation is very important, as you could see in our program. And then after you observe it, you have to really look into some of the issues and concerns which will in the future lead you to some of the discussions and social design project. You could see that, for example, students bring back their concerns about the restroom situation in Hong Kong. The floor is always wet and always dirty. How do you solve this? Okay, the situation of smoking in the street, and all the cigarette butts are thrown away on the street level, and how do you come up with some kind of idea to redesign the situation so that people won't throw their cigarette butts on the street? So these are their concerns, and so they need to, after observations, they need to do this kind of analysis, and then they need to come up with some kind of social actions or solutions to resolve the issues. And that's where the creativity part of social designs come in. Okay, if you have some concern, then you need to go out and find out the issues, and then you come back with some kind of ideas to resolve the concerns. So examples for another subject called Participatory Design and Innovation in an Aging Society. So we attempt to engage young people to work with elderly people so that we could come up with some kind of ideas of how to develop some design for elderly. So this is one of the examples that students try to make some design and try to test it in the park, local park, and then talk to the elderly users and see whether or not it works. So there's a lot of experimentation and testing in our studio-based and field-based learning. Okay, it's not only about writing papers. Okay, you could see in the classroom we even invite elderly people to come out to and play mahjong with the students so that they know, they understand some of the issues of these elders, and then start developing network with them, talk to them, understand them, empathize with them. So these are our approach in the classes. And then you could see that they are really making friends in the class, and then after they make friends, they start to ask or observe the elderly of their needs, and then they do something in the next project to help to develop some kind of design for the elderly society. So, and also we will engage students in some kind of co-creations and proposal writing. So what is co-creation? Meaning that it is not only you designing things for other people, you are designing with them. So you have to really understand whom are you designing for, right? So our approach is to design some kind of engagement tools, and then use the tools, use the display, and talk to the people whom you will be designing for, so that they could provide some kind of ideas for you for future design. So if you want to have some kind of good design, the first criteria is that you need to co-create with them. Then this is our approach. So you meet people, you do field-based studies, and then you come up with some kind of understanding of the people, like this one. Student design something, and then they use their design as a kind of conversation platform to ask for others' opinions. So even the workshop has to be designed by the students so that they could engage the workshop participants to give ideas about their design. So this is something that we talk about in our classes. And then we have to define the issues, define what we have found out and what is the problem or what are the needs, and etc. So you could see that, for example, this project, students are assigned to work with NGO or social enterprise called WeComs. So they have to understand how the NGO or the social enterprise operate inside a systems. So this is a map that they drawn out while they are understanding who is engaging in the system of operations. So this is one kind of understanding that we want students to do. Of course, we cannot only do our understanding of field study locally. We also have a class called Overseas Study Trip. So we encourage students to interact with international partners and students. So we brought the students to Japan and then to study the craft tradition of Japan, like paper making, and also farming, okay, growing rice. So they have an opportunity to experiment with growing or planting paddy field as well. So this is very interesting experience for the students to broaden the perspective on how to design for change in the society. So the previous pictures are our operations in the classroom, and what you do in the learning and teaching is basically, as I said, field-based and studio-based. So let's look at some more boring stuff, okay? So this is the official syllabus of our curriculum. Because this is a senior year program, we only require 60 credits for graduations, okay? So of course we have some general education, some from universities, and then we have some compulsory subjects. The compulsory subjects, for example, here, for the senior year one, semester one, so you see 3 different subjects. Okay, one is researching people, things, and contexts that I already showed you some of the picture that what we did, and also visualizing network, media, and community, okay? And you also have to study like introduction to design theory and culture, and then you have some elective classes. So we think that, okay, each semester you will have to study like 15 credits, okay? And for year 1, semester 2, you also have to do some Chinese language classes, like professional communication in Chinese and design studies, and also the class Creative Citizenship in Practice, which I already shown you some of the picture, like going out to the field and look for some of your own concern, your social concern, and then document it and try to come up with some kind of solutions and actions to change the situations. So this is Creative Citizenship in Practice. And then participatory design and innovation in an aging society that I also shown you before. It's about interacting with the elderly people, understanding their needs, and then trying to design some kind of platform to help them live better. And co-creation and project proposal writing, I show you also the picture about trying to like design workshops and design format or conversation method to engage people to co-create with you, co-design with you. you are not only hiding in your own studio, you need to go out to work with other people. So this is the first year of our program. And the second year will be like cooperative project, which you have the chance to go out to develop some partnership with companies. You work in real life with some NGOs or some company, also together with other design students. So they are not only design, they are kind of cooperative semester that you have to also work with students from other disciplines like communication design, environmental design, or product design. So you form teams together. So teamwork is also one of the very important attributes of our program. And then you come to Capstone. Capstone actually is the final year project. You have 1 year to finish the whole Capstone project. The first part, Capstone 1, is about researching, planning, and prototyping. You use the skills you learned the past year, and then you start to conceive of your own project, okay? And then you will have to complete the Capstone 2, which is the final year project, which you will be exhibiting in the annual show. If you look at the screen, you see also the design for social and cultural business classes. This is to equip you to develop some kind of business perspective or cultural perspective in the design project. You are not only designing one object, okay? You have to think of how these objects go out to the real world, and these objects interact with the people in the real world, and how to make it economically viable or practicable. So this is very important theory and skills that you need to learn in order to really implement all these projects. Okay, so as I said, you also have a lot of elective subjects to choose from. But for our program, because you only have 60 credits to do in 2 years, we don't have many that you could choose. We have only 3 subjects requirement, 3 elective subjects requirements. So you, among all the SD subjects and also some APSS, applied social science subjects, you could choose only 3. Okay, many students choose internship, for example. Internship is an elective in our program, and then if they choose that, they will study in a company for 8 weeks during the summer, okay, and then they will get a credit, 3 credits from internship. There's also many people or students who want to choose overseas study trip, given that they have the budget to buy the air ticket and also buy, I hope next year the pandemic situation will be better so that we could really organize the study trip again. Last year, we have not been able to do that, but early 2019 and 2018, the 2 cohorts of students went out to Japan and to Hariban for study trip. So they are very much enjoying it. So among all these 3 elective subjects that you are, it is available for you to choose. I think you have to make some plans to see whether you need to choose it. For example, for design students enrolling our program, we encourage you to take some APSS subjects like APSS 4510, Corporate Social Responsibility, or Social Capital, or subjects like Social Entrepreneurship and Enterprise. So this is very important perspective for design students. But if you come from a cultural study background or social science background, you may take more elective on design, like something like inclusive and universal design. So you could take those. And then, or maybe communication design to foster sustainable behavior. So these are some of the design subjects that I would encourage social science applicants to take for the elective to compensate some of your skills in design. Okay? So I won't go too much further except to let you know that at year 1 level, which is your first year in our senior program, learn to research and apply knowledge and skills is the fundamental premise. So you really need to learn how to do research by going out to the field and by doing analysis in your studio and whatnot. So the first year is like that. And the second year, you need to learn to be initiative. So you have some kind of ideas that you want to make it real. So you have a dream to make things real, to change some of the social situations. So this is the whole purpose for social design. So collaborate. So in order to initiate new projects, you need to collaborate with others. And then you need to be resourceful. So in your final year, you need to learn to be initiative, collaborative, and resourceful. So this is the key premise of the 2 years of senior study in social design. Okay? So I don't know whether you have this is a little bit complicated, but this is a kind of like mapping of our program. As you could see, you could have a kind of route, okay? From initially, you come to our program to understand some conceptual and hands-on skills. So you develop your competence in conceptual thinking and hands-on thinking. Hands-on thinking meaning you need to make things happen. Okay, it's not just sitting in your study room and do all the essay writing. Okay, you have to make things happen by acquiring some kind of hands-on competences. And then you have the next stages will be social competences. So you need to learn to socialize with people. You go out to the field, you talk to the stranger, you talk to the elderly people, find out what their needs are. You go out to the field and talk to stranger and find out what happens behind their behavior. So there is a lot of social interaction that you have, you need to develop, like I call it social competence. So this is the second stage of your studies. And the third stage of your studies will become holistic and self-initiative. When you think of a problem or needs or some kind of design, you just not think of just one little objects or a posters. You think of the whole situation, the whole context of how these posters and operation or the objects operate in the social situations. This is what I meant by holistics, seeing the whole picture, okay? And be self-initiative, meaning self-initiating new projects all the time, coming up with new ideas all the time, and then make it happen. So this is the essence of social designers, okay? So when you graduate, we hope that you could at least have 3 routes of work. Okay, the first route will be you become a very skilled designer. You have, and then a designer with a perspective of understanding people and understanding social situations. Okay, the second route will be you become a project coordinators for the NGOs. You create projects, you coordinate big projects, and then or social enterprises or consultancy firms. You coordinate people and things and events so that you could make change in the society, okay? And then we could also foresee that you could be a social worker if with a design perspective, not a traditional social worker, but with a design perspective, meaning that you could create something or create new method of doing social work, or a journalist, okay? Researching in the field or developing some kind of observations and write about it, write about the social needs to encourage other people to be aware of this kind of social issues. So ideally, we want our social design programs to be like that. Of course, you could see that at the top, you always have to collaborate with the industry, with the society, and with other community partners. So this is some of our goal, okay? So I talk about this career prospects. You could work in social and cultural businesses, non-governmental organizations, and multidisciplinary design consultancy. So these are some of the keywords of our program, okay? Change maker, if you want to be a change maker, a project designers, a community organizers, a social entrepreneur, civic participation, design for public good. If you want to understand inclusive design, user-centered design, method of co-designing or participatory design. So these are some of the things that you might learn. You also will be more sensitive to some of the community access. You create NGO projects, you are good at system thinking, you develop or help to disseminate public information, and you know what corporate social responsibilities and sustainability means. So these are some of the keywords that our students might aspire to understand, okay? So I think, let me see. Okay, so the final question is social designer for me or for you? Okay, so my answer will be only if you are a committed and aspiring design learner with a humanitarian mindset. So the humanitarian mindset is some of the key quality that you are aspiring, okay? If you have this mindset, or if you come into our program and learn about this kind of mindset, you will be a different person in the future. So underneath it, there are two information that you might want to further look into. My colleagues has a YouTube seminar on designing with community. So you could Google design with community, and then you could find that, okay? And then there's also in RTHK 午夜廣場學人串社科, I was interviewed a month ago about 如何改變社會, and in there I talked about some of the projects and the meaning of social design in that channel. So you could Google them and then take a deeper look and think about whether or not social design is for you or not. Okay? So I know that you are from social science, right?
Yeah.
Originally, but why become a social designer?
When I'm studying HKCC, I visit the Mapopo community farm and find that it's interesting that there's farm in urban city. It's really shocked me.
So you are interested in this community issues, right?
Yeah,
and so what do you bring to the interview? I mean, how do you let your interviewer knows about what you're interested in?
I think in the essay it could show me how I'm thinking about the issue. Although I did not have some design skills, something like that, but I have social mind.
You are from social science and you are from design, advertising design. So what do you prepare for your interview?
Actually, I prepared 2 portfolios. So the first portfolio will be my best work, mainly graphic, and also a lot of sketches and my thinking process, something like that. And another portfolio is to emphasize the works that involve social design and the community.
So now you have compiled a portfolio which includes the process and also some of the community outcomes, right?
Yeah.
And I remember that you have to write a statement, a personal statement before you come to the interview, right?
Yeah.
So what do you write about?
So I remember that in the first part I wrote about how I see design, what is the true meaning of design. So I said, I think design is to solve problems and facilitate people's living, or maybe change their lifestyle to create a better community. Social design can acquire me a lot of skills or thinking methods for me to do the projects in the future.
So I think the group interview is basically about seeing how you communicate with your colleagues or classmates, right? If you have good communication skill, it means also you listen to some of the discussion rather than just talking on your own, right? So I think maybe we are also looking for these listeners, not talkers.
Maybe social designer should be very sensitive to the area around you, and it can let you to find social problems or what people needs. I think is important.
We are looking for students with a strong social mindset, would like to make things happen. Because designers is always making things happen in the real world.就係 Gigi， 佢今年就 Year 4，而家咧忙緊啲 Final Year Project 啦。兩位，我隔離呢位就 Winnie 同埋阿希，咁咧佢哋就 Year 3將會好忙，咁但係今日都抽空出嚟咧，幫大家答下問題嘅。大家如果有問題關於點樣報讀我哋呢個 social design 呢個 course 咧，就一陣間可以喺個 chat room 嗰度打低你嘅問題啦，或者可以開聲問啦咁樣。咁我哋未進入真正個 Q&A 環節之前咧，不如我哋聽一聽阿 Gigi 有啲乜嘢嘢想介紹俾我哋嘅 applicant 睇啊！
好啊 ，Hello 咁多位啊，我係 Gigi 啊，咁我就係 Final Year 嘅。咁嗱，呢一個 PowerPoint 我純粹係講下我喺呢年紀啦，讀緊呢一科，然後我認識到呢科係啲乜嘢啦。咁我首先就會講下我知道咗依家例如社會創新其實係一樣咩嘢嚟啦。我唔知大家啱啱聽完嗰啲內容之後，會唔會仲有啲 confuse 喺入邊啦？咁首先我會舉啲例子嘅我可能會定義咗咩係 social innovation design 先啦，就係佢講緊一樣嘢係好重視一個社會嘅合作啦，好重視呢個社會嘅 relationship 啦。咁然之後我哋做出嚟嘅嘢咧係可以係一啲 product， 可以係啲 service， 可以係咩都可以係嘅。而呢樣嘢係可以達至到可以產生咗一個社會合作啦，或者多咗一份嘅 social relationship。咁就我諗已經係為之一個社會創新嘅一樣嘢啦。咁舉啲例子先啦。首先呢個係一個英國嘅例子啦。咁就佢係一個投票箱嚟嘅，但係呢個投票箱咧係好特別嘅。呢個投票箱係用煙嚟投票嘅。咁點解有呢個咁有趣嘅投票箱咧？就係因為英國嗰邊咧啲人隨地掉煙嗰個問題咧係好嚴重。咁就知道有間公司就諗咗不如試下整個投票箱出嚟啊，嚟收集嗰啲煙頭。咁嗰個投票箱有啲咩咧？個投票箱就會有好多唔同嘅問題嘅。咁啲問題係可以係啲人去自己設計嘅，即係可能例如話，你覺得披薩應唔應該有菠蘿咧？有，我話唔好。咁你就可以透過你嗰個食完嗰支煙嘅煙頭就抌落去，就可以做咗一個投票。咁亦都可以睇到嗰個結果咁樣啦，咁樣見到比較到啦咁樣。咁就而減少咗當地好多啲棄置煙頭嘅問題。咁呢個其實都係一個社會創新嘅一樣嘢啦。咁呢樣係個 product 啦。咁另外咧呢個咧就可能虛少少嘅。咁佢純粹係一張凳嘅啫。而呢張凳其實已經係已有存在㗎啦。佢純粹喺上面加咗個 label， 就係話大家一齊坐喺度傾偈啦，就係咁一個 label 啫。咁佢解決咗一個點樣嘅問題咧？就係咧，依家人口老化嘅問題比較嚴重啦。咁好多長者其實係有呢個孤獨病啦，即係大家好孤獨啦，成日都係咯一個人咁樣啦。咁就希望咧啲長者坐咗喺呢張凳度，而啲路人啊咩人都得嘅，見到有呢個 label， 然後就一齊坐埋一齊喺度傾個偈咁樣咯。咁就令到啲長者就希望冇咁孤獨啊，同埋純粹可以 build up 一個relationship 啦，係咯。咁就都係一個社會創新嘅其中一個例子，而呢一個例子我會覺得係簡單，因為佢純粹真係用一張紙就已經引起咗一啲新嘅行動啦。我會話 咁之後咧想講多樣嘢就係咧，所以其實由此可見咧，就係 social design 呢樣嘢啦，或者 social innovation design、social innovation 呢樣嘢其實係周圍都有嘅，周圍都係發生緊嘅。咁之後我會講一講我一位同學喺 Year One 嗰陣時做嘅一個 project 啦。咁唔知大家有冇睇新聞咧？就係就應該喺香港仔嗰邊咧，無啦啦有支過馬路嗰個柱咧，咪有個掣嘅。咁就有個人就用設計咗個腳踏嚟撳嗰個掣啦，嗰個係啦。咁呢個就我其中一個同學喺 Year One 嗰陣時做嘅 project 嚟嘅。咁佢就發現咁依家 pandemic 啦。大家都唔係咁想掂嗰個掣嚟過馬路嘅，咁佢就諗不如用腳啦。如果你唔想用手嘅話，所以就自己設計咗個腳踏啦，然後加埋佢少少一啲graphic 上面嘅嘢去吸引人哋用呢個腳踏，咁就令到成件事就引起咗佢嗰個社區裏面一啲人嘅注意啦。區議員都直頭出 po 話哇呢樣嘢好得意啦咁樣。咁 so far 佢產生出嚟嗰個結果係啲人係幾正面去睇呢件事嘅，甚至係想 keep 住呢件事有嘅，即係想。會唔會其他燈柱都可以咁樣整個腳踏出嚟，方便佢哋嚟過馬路咧，唔使掂咧咁樣。咁另外呢個咧就係已經畢咗業嘅師兄師姐做嘅一個 project 啦。咁就係有關一個夾公仔嘅。咁佢哋就用一個夾公仔機啦，然後就可能去喺呢個 pandemic 嘅期間度引起啲人嘅互動咁樣啦，咁一齊去用簡單一個夾公仔咧，流動式嘅，咁就去周圍同啲人玩啊，咁樣咯。咁呢個咧就一個藝術家程展緯做嘅一樣嘢啦，叫公共籃球啦。咁佢就有嚟我哋上堂嘅時候嚟我哋同你分享啦。咁呢個例子都幾得意嘅，就係佢唔知係買咗個籃球定執咗個籃球翻嚟啦，跟住咧佢就崩咗氣之後咧，就擺咗喺佢大埔嗰個社區嘅其中一個籃球場度俾大家一齊玩咯。佢係寫咗明送俾街坊，大家一齊玩啦咁樣。咁成件事就係咧，佢會見到原來啲人係真係會咁拎起呢一個籃球，大家一齊係咁玩啊，小朋友又玩啊，大人又玩啊咁樣。咁成件事幾有趣㗎，呢個公共籃球。咁因為佢喺個過程裏邊其實係你令到一班唔識嘅人聚集咗一齊，然後原來一齊多咗互動。咁之後咁究竟我哋喺呢個學科裏邊其實係學緊啲咩嘅咧？咁呢個係我哋平時嘅一啲功課啦。咁呢個係我 Year One 嗰陣時我啲同學仔同埋我嘅一啲功課啦。咁我哋好多咩題目都得嘅，我哋主要都係要揾一啲社區嘅有趣嘅事啦，我哋認為嘅啫，唔使老師認為，老師唔會逼我哋嘅，即係我哋覺得有趣嘅事，然後我哋做一啲 observation 啊，即係觀察啊，然後記錄下咁樣啦。咁我首先第一幅圖先，第一幅圖係有關單車，咁我有其中一組同學咧就係咁睇下研究下啲單車嘅，即係派街邊啲單車啦咁樣。佢哋話有啲擺咗雜物啊，有啲要揾個膠袋笠住個座位啊。又有啲加塊板喺個後邊啊咁樣，即係佢哋就記錄咗一堆，然後就分析，然後就甚至仲要揾佢哋訪問啊，點解你要咁樣設計個單車啊咁樣？咁就係啦，就做咗張 poster，然後就貼出嚟，求俾大家一齊欣賞或者討論咁樣啦。而另外一邊咧，我就記得係研究街磚嘅，咁佢就係好似係研究黃埔。應該海濱嗰度嗰啲街磚應該會有咁樣嘅 pattern 啊？點解行下個 pattern 會唔同咗啊？唔同嘅 pattern 會唔會其實係反映緊個用法唔同啊？或者定係反映緊其實個地點唔同啊？係啦，總之係揾一啲有趣嘅嘢，然後嚟同我哋分享翻咁樣啦。當中咧，佢哋都會訪問下啲人咁樣嘅。咁然之後呢個係。呢個 project 之後呢兩個咧就係第 Year One 嘅 Sem 2做嘅 project 嚟嘅。咁我哋 Sem 2咧 Year One Sem 2我哋就要唔似啱啱我所講就係做 observation 嘅啫，就係做觀察嘅啫，然後記錄嘅啫。咁我哋之後會做嘅嘢就會再深一步啲嘅啦，就要真係要 take action 嘅，即係要做一啲少少嘅社會創新嘅行動啦咁樣，即係唔可以淨係做 observation 嘅啦，唔係淨係落街行街，行完街影完相就算嘅啦。我哋真係要做啲嘢去幫助一下自己個小社區嘅或者小社群咁樣啦。咁首先第一幅圖啦，佢就係呢位同學，我記得係住將軍澳嘅。咁佢咧發現將軍澳咧好似對啲寵物唔係咁太友善啊。佢就 諗住去讓將軍澳佢應該係佢居住嗰個環境啦，就令到嗰個社區就對寵物友善啲啦咁樣。即係例如你放狗嗰陣時，等佢哋唔使擔心可能俾單車喺撞親咁樣，或者啲店鋪啊可唔可以歡迎啲寵物入去咧咁樣，就做咗呢啲嘅有關呢啲咁嘅 project 啦。咁佢就設計咗啲貼紙俾一啲店鋪啊。索性就係如果你係俾隻狗入去嘅，咁你就貼呢張貼紙出邊啦，等啲狗主帶住隻狗嗰時可以一齊行入去睇下咁樣啦，咁樣佢就設計一啲貼紙咁樣嘅。跟住另外第二幅圖嗰個就係啱啱講嗰個用腳踏撳嗰個行人路嗰個感應器嘅一個同學最後出嚟個 presentation 嗰個 graphic 啦。咁啱啱都講咗就唔講太多啦。咁其實我哋平時嗰啲功課咧嘅最後一個 presentation 啦，我會話其實我哋好多時就要用一張 graphic 啦，一張 poster 啦，就要解釋晒我哋成個 set 其實係做緊啲乜嘢嘅。甚至係我哋成個行動啊，或者成個產品啊，或者成個服務啊，其實係做緊啲乜嘢嘅。咁所以呢啲啱啱以上嘅嘢咧，就係啦一個最後嘅 presentation 嘅內容啦。咁我哋 presentation 前咧都有一啲嘢要做嘅，即係唔單止要實行我哋嗰個行動啦，做 observation 啦，其實我哋仲要學排版嘅。咁呢啲就係我哋排版嘅過程啦，即係我哋要剪貼啊，剪爛下自己張 poster 重新砌過啊。或者要揾老師傾下偈啊！其實點樣排會靚仔啲，等啲觀眾或者聽眾睇得舒服咧、順眼咧，然後將啲知識更好吸收、更好知道我哋做緊啲乜嘢咯，唔好太過混亂咯。咁呢啲就係我哋啲學習過程嚟嘅。咁呢啲咧就係我自己本身做嘅 observation，呢啲係我日常啦。基本上咧，如果讀得呢科咧，落街係必須㗎啦，成日都要落街行嘅。即係我平時課餘時間啦，就會可能去我只住元朗天水圍㗎啦。咁呢度如果大家住嘅都會知道咩地方啦。咁就我有時會影下啲伯伯點解唔知點解喺個公共空間度坐低喺度傾偈嘅喎，或者我會去天光墟啦，天水圍嘅天光墟啦，晨早流流咁啊去影下記錄下嗰啲人嗰啲擺賣情況啊等等等。咁呢啲就日常影嘅相啦，自己部手機裏面應該有好多。如果你入咗呢科嘅話，記得要準備一部大容量嘅手機。咁然後我哋影完之後啦，咁就有機會要成為你嘅功課嘅內容嘅。咁因為呢科其實我哋平時做嘅功課其實個內容上面就我自己嗰屆啦就冇話咩限定嘅規定嘅。基本上你想做咩 topic 都得㗎，係真係你平時關心個社區啲乜，或者你關心自己啲乜，或者你有啲咩 topic 想做你就做就得㗎啦。咁我哋咧多數有呢啲 topic 之後咧，我哋就會攞翻嚟啦，然後貼喺塊埲牆度喺度諗啦，就整理下啲我哋揾翻嚟嗰啲相啦，睇下有冇啲共通點啊，有冇啲咩發現啊咁樣咯。咁你見到所以我哋埲牆咧長時間係打風狀態啦，你見到好似有條理，其實的確係有條理，因為我哋會喺老師裏邊咧學習咗一啲design thinking 啊，同埋學習啲點樣整理我哋啲發現、整理我哋啲相嘅一啲方法。咁呢啲就係一啲方法咁樣咯。咁另外我哋就會有啲真係整完出嚟啲嘢要攞落街去試啦，咁係啦，咁呢啲就我哋一啲試嘅過程啦。咁呢啲都係我哋一啲其中嘅功課咯，就係即係我哋試啫，都要整得靚靚仔仔嘅，即係唔係即係好似實驗品咁樣。我哋整嗰陣時，我哋都要考慮埋佢嗰個美感啦，資訊性夠唔夠啦，會唔會人哋睇唔明啦咁樣嘅。咁呢啲就係我話啦，我哋會做一啲 internship 嘅。咁我哋啲 internship 有好多嘅，可以跟其他學校。不過呢啲真係入讀咗先知道啦，或者入讀咗先會再需要知多啲咁樣。咁講到呢度啦，咁我哋而家知道你哋知道學生我哋會做啲咩啦。咁究竟我哋啲老師係平時會教啲咩咧？咁呢個就我哋科嘅啲資訊啦，咁就我諗你哋都會上網揾得到，我就唔多講啦。咁啱啱啲相就係我哋上堂嗰啲嗰啲係啦照片啦。咁呢啲就我哋啲選修科啦，就好多種類嘅。因為我哋 social design 啦呢科，咁就有涉及 social 嘅成分，所以我哋要讀少少有關 social science 即係社會科學嘅學科嘅。咁同一時間我哋都要讀一啲 設計嘅相關嘅學科，所以我哋比較啲 elective 係，即係我哋有啲選修科咁就比較多種類啲咯。咁就咁多啦。
咁啊，多謝阿 Gigi 啦，簡介咗作為學生其實係點樣面對呢個課程咧咁樣樣。咁我想強調一點咧，或者阿希同埋阿 Winnie 一陣間都可以補充下，你哋而家學緊嗰啲嘢有冇同阿 Gigi 嗰啲唔同啦？但係咧，其實強調嗰點就係頭先都聽到阿 Gigi 用日常嗰個字啊嘛，同埋咧日常生活嘅日常或者社區嘅日常究竟係點樣樣嘅咧？咁我哋就好想啲學生咧就離開嗰個網頁，然後咧就走到去社區入邊咧去觀察啲日常。咁點解觀察啲日常咁重要咧？就係因為我哋假設咧讀 social design 嘅學生咧都有一種對人生活嘅日常咧係有一種關懷嘅，即係譬如話佢關懷啲人隨地抌煙頭可以點樣處理咧咁樣嚇，或者關懷緊嗰個社區為嗰啲小販喺度擺賣嘅時候係阻街啊，定係會幫到嗰啲街坊用一啲平啲嘅價錢，唔需要去超級市場度買到佢哋所需要嘅嘢咧，咁諸如此類。咁所以嗰個關懷本身咧係促使我要逼啲學生咧去進入去社區做觀察，同埋去理解啲市民大眾一啲諗法嘅一個切入點嚟嘅。咁希望頭先啲例子都可以解釋到呢部分嘅嘢啦。咁你哋 Winnie 同阿希有冇啲咩想講下？讀咗咁耐，
都唔係好耐嘅，一個學期啫。
一個學期。
咁我講下自己嘅背景先啦。咁我背景就係由 HKCC 嘅 EID， 即係 Environment and Interior Design 升上嚟嘅。咁點解升上嚟咧？就因為就我擺咗呢個 second choice 嘅。咁但係個原因係其實我見到呢科係都係有趣嘅，想學下新嘢，之後覺得OK，如果第一個 choice 唔收，咁啊第二個 choice 收冇所謂啦。咁我就入咗嚟呢度啦。咁我對於啱入嚟就係有啲迷茫嘅，因為其實好空泛啦，呢個名唔知做啲咩啦。咁但係即係因為我之前個科個反差比較大，因為就比較實在啲嘅 technical 啲嘅。咁但係依家就空泛咗，所以有啲迷茫。咁但係讀咗一個成左右啦，到依家就發現其實睇嘅嘢係真係好唔同嘅，因為同舊時一味喺度對部電腦砌圖啊、上網查資料啊，到依家真係落個社區深入去了解咧係兩個唔同嘅世界。咁我覺得會覺得自己係佢對社區嘅認知同埋自己個身份認同係大咗啦，同埋發掘咗好多有趣嘅嘢咯。係啦。
跟住我係 Winnie 啦，咁其實我都係同阿希一樣，都係 HKCC 嘅 EID 升上嚟嘅。咁我哋嗰陣時係同班同學咁樣啦。咁當時候我 social design 都係擺第二位嘅。咁但係我覺得啦，入咗嚟 social design 之後，我會發現我係即係發現咗一啲即係同 EID 好唔同嘅嘢，就係嗰陣時讀environment interior design 咧，就好講你最後個 product 會做成點樣啊，即係好注重你 visual，即係你做出嚟嚿嘢靚唔靚啊，夠唔夠 poetic 咁樣啦。咁但係入到去 SOD 之後，就會發現其實我哋未做呢一啲實際嘅嘢之前，前邊 research 嘅 scale 其實係好緊要嘅，係我覺得呢一科就係好訓練到我哋，即係點樣去揾資料啦，點樣去落地去考察啦，點樣去了解我哋身邊嘅社區啊，同埋身邊嘅人啦。咁其實即係經過啱啱嗰個 SAM 啦，嗰啲唔同我哋嗰份 project 啦，咁我哋之前嗰份咧係落北角嘅，咁就係我哋兩個都係同一組，咁之後就係揾一個好細嘅家庭啦。咁其實我哋去考察呢一啲嘢，或者去做呢一啲嘢嘅時候，其實我哋需要唔同嘅技巧，即係點樣去訪問人哋啊， 點樣去了解人哋嘅生活啊，從而去揾一啲方法去諗佢哋嘅問題，用佢哋嘅角度去睇佢哋想點樣改變佢哋嘅小社區咁樣嘅。咁其實係個獲益係大好多嘅，同埋你嘅身份唔同咗，你睇嘅角度都好唔同咯。
我哋頭先唔記得提啦，Gigi 就唔係 design 底嘅喎，你係之前咧係讀 social science 嘅喎。咁 social science 咧好多時交功課都係交張 paper 咁樣樣嘅，係咪啊？咁入嚟到咧就要你剪剪貼貼啊，又要排版啊，又要影相啊，呢啲咁嘅經驗，你覺得點樣轉型嘅咧？你
嗱我講多次我個背景啦。咁我自己係讀 HKCC social science 嗰度嘅。咁以前咧就問我就沉悶少少，因為主要係做 research 啦，即係成日都會同啲人去揾啲人去做，定係做 interview， 然後做完 interview 之後就寫篇文咁樣交功課我就完㗎啦。咁嚟到呢一科咧就真係挑戰大嘅，因為我自己係唔識 design 嘅，真心排版呢啲我都係嚟到呢度由零學起啦。我主要點樣學咧就係即係你身邊嘅同學緊有啲係 design 上嚟嘅，咁我主要都係模仿佢哋啦，即係望多啲佢哋啦，同埋揾多啲老師傾偈嚟知道啊，其實點樣排先會令到成件事舒服，點樣先會有資訊性得嚟，然後但係又符合少少美感咧咁樣。咁呢個就係我嘅學習嘅方法啦。咁其次就係呢一科咧，我入咗嚟之後同 social science 最唔同嘅位就係，我覺得佢都係要做 interview 嘅，佢都係要做 research 嘅。呢方面係好似嘅，即係我都係要落街嘅。雖然以前就冇，即係以前讀 social science 嗰時落街就冇依家咁多啦，因為以前係你有目標性地落街啊嘛，你有個大 topic， 你有個想研究嘅項目，然後我就捉住你就要咁樣落街啦。咁依家反而係彈性啲，即係哪怕其實我都要有 topic 去做，但係嗰個 topic 咧又未至於真係要好精準。可能我就係一個好簡單 topic， 我就係想研究露宿者咁樣，咁我就咁落街睇，然後自己可以係咁變來變去都得嘅喎。你發現到啲咩新嘅有趣嘢，你就可以係啦。再整理咁樣，之後係啦，就係嗰個成個學習模式係大嘅轉變咯。但係如果唔係 design 人嘅話，努力就得㗎啦。
但係我都想補充一點咧，就係其實唔落區或者落去個 field 咧，都唔係無目的咁樣去落嘅。只不過因為我哋係講緊 social design 嘅 innovation 啊嘛，咁 innovation 咧好多時就係要開闊我哋嗰個眼界啊！即係如果我哋一早就已經定咗個目標，個目標咧可能係同我哋喺現場觀察到嘅嘢咧有分別，所以我嘅建議咧就係你落區觀察嘅時候，盡量都開放自己嗰個睇法，然後咧去發現一啲新嘅角度。先去定個目標，咁所以咧係有少少次序上嘅分別嚟嘅啫。咁樣我見到有條問題咧，就問 social design 咧應該點樣準備 portfolio 喎？即係想報 social design 嘅時候，可唔可以分享下啲經驗？你哋點樣準備 portfolio 啊？
嗱，不如我講先啦，因為我自己係冇準備 portfolio 嘅，但係我自己成日擺咗 first choice 啦，所以就唔知係咪咁樣有優惠啦咁樣。但係我知道嘅係往年嗰啲同學仔係整乜 portfolio 都得㗎，有啲同係用網頁嘅形式啦，有啲同學就真係特本嘢啦咁。我唔知你哋又點整咧？
因為我哋 EID 底咧，咁其實我哋係個 portfolio 係我哋用Adobe Illustrator 咁樣或者 InDesign 咁樣就砌一個 portfolio， 就係 show 翻我哋自己啲 work 嘅，係啦咁。我知道可能在場可能會有唔同科嘅人，即係可能有 communication design、product design 或者甚至 social science 嘅人咁樣啦。咁但係都係以翻你自己熟悉嘅方式去整翻一個 portfolio 出嚟。即係可能你係 social science 底嘅，咁可能你寫篇文 show 翻你哋之前做過嘅 project 咁樣啦。如果可能係 product， 咁其實因為大家 design 科其實差唔多，即係都係突翻一個 layout 靚嘅 portfolio 出嚟 show 翻你 work 俾大家睇下咁樣咯。
係啦，咁但係其實我想知，如果係冇 design 底嘅同學，咁應該點樣 prepare 佢個 portfolio 咧？
我自己其實又唔係未至於冇準備，但係冇交嘅，因為我嗰陣時我唔知係我睇漏嘢定點啦，就好似唔使交啦。但係我係有準備嘅。我嗰陣時因為我有師兄師姐啦，都係讀 social science 嘅，咁佢哋入呢一科啦，咁佢哋就教我，因為我哋冇你哋咁多作品去展現俾老師睇啊嘛，咁佢就建議咧，我就整個網頁就介紹自己平時嘅學習情況啊，或者自己啲興趣啊，就好似一個自我介紹嘅一本書啦，即係嚟展現自己其實有啲咩特質，個人特質俾我哋嘅未來嘅老師睇咯。咁我係有整嘅，不過我就冇交咁樣啦，係啦。
咁啊補充2點啦。第一點咧就係啱啱嗰年咧，我就計過，如果我哋收一啲 first choice 嘅學生咧，首先收咗先，咁樣咧，然後我哋就可以咧煙少啲同學係 second choice 嘅，咁我哋就揀咗一啲高 GPA 嘅就直接收咗啦。如果係 first choice 嘅話，咁咧就冇咁多要求嘅。係即係優惠嚟嘅。多謝。咁啊，第一點，呢個咧，第二點咧就係portfolio 咧，我想大家有一個開放啲嘅理解咧，就係唔一定係 designers 嘅 portfolio， 因為咧 portfolio 如果你真正去考究下咧，其實係一個學習歷程嘅記錄嚟嘅。咁所以咧 social science 嘅同學咧，佢可能都有啲學習歷程嘅，即係譬如你話落區做訪問啊、寫 paper 咁樣。咁當然你可以交嗰張 paper 作為你嘅 portfolio 啦，但係好多時你做呢張 paper 嘅時候，你可能會參與咗某個 NGO 嘅義工計劃咁樣。咁呢個義工計劃，咁你又學到啲乜咧？咁點樣可以令到你寫 paper 嘅時候會寫到一啲有意思嘅點子出嚟咧？咁即係如果你可以交代到呢啲學習歷程咧，其實我哋都算係你哋嘅 portfolio 嘅。咁所以大家可能要諗清楚啦。如果你係 design 底嘅，咁你通常嗰個 design portfolio 都話要靚仔，要設計得靚啲。但係其實我哋睇咧就係睇你哋嘅學習嘅歷程嘅一啲內容。咁靚唔靚仔咧？咁就都可能會睇到一啲技巧上嘅嘢嘅，咁但係因為我哋嗰個收生咧係想開闊到收埋一啲 social science 嘅同學，因為佢哋咧喺一啲理論啊，或者喺閱讀一啲社會學嘅文獻啊，都比起到 design student 咧，可能係會深入少少嘅。咁所以我希望有唔同嘅同學咧嚟到我哋同一班嗰度嘅時候咧，就可以互相交流同埋學習咯。即係如果你淨係識畫嘢畫得好叻嘅啦，咁你可以教下啲唔識畫嘢嘅人啦，或者你去理解理論或者去讀書，好快睇到啲書入邊嗰啲重點嘅，你又可以教下啲 design 嘅同學啦。咁我希望喺 social design 嗰度咧，最低限度喺我個班入邊都有呢個 socialness 咯，同埋嗰啲頭先 Gigi 講到嘅去識得點樣去建立一啲人際關係咯。咁personal statement 同埋 interview 有咩嘢分別？Interview 係咪多數 group interview？OK？嗱，personal statement 咧係你自己匿埋喺間房度寫一張或者1-2張 A4 紙，然後去解釋你自己點解想讀 social design， 即係你有咩期望啊，或者你有啲乜嘢追求啊咁樣啦，或者有咩理想啊，咁呢個就係一個 social statement， 係你自己寫出嚟嚇，即係思考下你過去嘅學習，然後咧你想追求啲乜嘢嘢，咁你寫出嚟啦。 interview 咧就係我哋會嗱，因為疫情關係咧，過去2年咧，我哋都係用 YouTube interview 嘅，即係你哋拍條片，我哋睇你哋點樣喺條片度講你自己嘅嘢嘅啫。咁但係咧冇疫情之前咧，我哋係傾向 group interview 嘅。group interview 咧就會大概10個人一組咁樣，嗰啲老師或者啲同學，即係啲老師咧就會唔出聲，就等呢10個同學自己喺度傾偈。咁我哋就會觀察啲同學喺度傾偈嘅時候，睇下佢哋咧個思辨嘅反應啦，或者會唔會有啲同學咧唔出聲，或者有啲同學又霸住啲嘢講，或者又有啲同學咧識得自動去做一啲 moderator， 即係會派啲人唔同人去講嘢咁樣，即係咁我哋去從呢啲咁嘅觀察咧，去睇到啲同學嗰種唔同嘅 personal style 啊。咁我哋唔係話一定多嘢講嗰個就收，或者好靜嗰個就唔收，唔一定嘅。我哋係想留意到每個同學都可能有一啲唔同嘅性情或者一啲特質咧，我哋盡量咧有啲唔同嘅人咧走埋喺一班度咯。咁所以有多嘢講嘅就可能配啲靜啲嘅同學咁樣樣。所以咧個 group interview 主要係俾啲老師揀人嘅時候係觀察嗰啲同學嗰個傾向嘅，即係嗰個待人處事啊，或者去談吐嘅傾向咯。可以點樣準備面試，同埋咧老師想收啲咩嘅學生？即係頭先我係都應該解釋咗啦，係咪？係啊，就係嗰啲高大威猛、靚仔靚女 ，OK， 同埋染頭髮都冇所謂嘅。How many people will be admitted？ 就我哋而家應該係最多收33人嘅嚇。如何界定社會創新設計同其他用於改善日常生活嘅設計？哇！呢條問題都幾精闢喎，有冇人想答下先啊？
可唔可以淨係解釋社會創新設計？
好啊，解。
因為我哋上堂都有講過下嘅，因為社會創新設計咁就係 social innovation 啦。咁 social innovation 呢樣嘢嘅意思就係將一啲唔同嘅，其實咩形式嘅設計都好啦。咁其實係 create 啲新嘅價值啦，同埋新嘅意思落唔同嘅事物上邊嘅，或者人同事咁樣咯。我覺得係。
仲有冇多啲補充啊？
我自己覺得就係佢仲有，其實佢好多個層次嘅，亦都好多個方向性嘅。即係例如，如果你設計出嚟嗰樣嘢係可以引起到呢一個大家本身唔識嘅，然後大家會聚集一齊啦，即係有個大家一齊合作啦，一個社會合作，有一個新嘅社會關係嘅話，即係要建立到人之間嘅關係，或者建立到一啲新嘅合作嘅話，咁呢樣嘢其實已經係可以界定一個社會創新啦。係啊，我諗最大嘅分別係呢個位。
都冇咩補充，差唔多。
係咩？咁我補充下啦。咁嗱，如果話日常生活嘅設計咁樣啦，假設我要大家設計一隻杯咁樣，咁可能咧我哋就會設計咗隻杯之後咧就完工㗎咯喎，或者咁我哋點樣去衡量嗰隻杯？譬如話隻杯好唔好揸手啊？裝熱飲嘅時候會唔會辣手啊？或者啲顏色靚唔靚啊？上邊嗰啲花紋有冇一啲特別嘅美學嘅參考啊？咁呢個咧係設計一隻杯嘅一啲想像嚟嘅 ，OK？ 但係如果話呢隻杯係點樣可以令到一班人會聚埋一齊去 去飲嘢，而令到依班人一齊用呢隻杯嘅時候咧，可以互相認識嘅。咁即係話嗰隻杯嘅設計咧，包括埋咧，可唔可以設計到一隻杯會令到一班人走埋一齊互相認識，或者有一啲特別嘅我哋預期嘅目標嘅，咁樣嗰個就有機會係社會設計咯。即係話我哋只係用一個設計物或者設計嘅器物咧，去組織，去設計到點樣用呢個器物去組織一個社群。咁呢個就傾向係社會設計或者社會創新設計咯。咁所以你頭先睇到 Gigi 介紹咧，嗰張凳咧，只係貼咗一張紙仔喺度嘅啫。其實你話其實係嗰個設計師係設計一張喺街頭嘅 bench 一張凳啫，係咪？咁啊完工㗎啦嘛。但係如果有個社會設計家見到，喂，張凳成日都冇乜人坐喺度嘅，咁不如我就整張紙叫啲啦孤獨嘅老人家坐喺度，然後咧就講清楚啲，如果見到有老人家坐喺度嘅後生仔咧，都應該坐埋去同個老人家傾下偈，令到佢唔好咁孤獨咧。咁呢個就係一個社會設計嘅 idea 嚟咯喎。咁但係個問題係，除咗貼嗰張紙去宣傳呢張凳可以有咁嘅功用之外咧，我估仲可以設計，譬如用 social media 嘅方法啦，係咪？喺 Instagram 度發布呢個消息，咁原來咧喺佐敦道邊個公園度有張咁嘅孤獨的凳咁樣。如果你見到老人家又喺度坐咧，唔該你哋可以去陪下個老人家傾偈。咁究竟呢個 message 本身係一個 communication design 啊，定係一個乜嘢嘅 design 嚟咧？咁所以你會見到咧 social design 其實係要利用好多其他嘅 design。嗱 product design 就係嗰張凳啦。貼喺張 product design 度貼張紙係個 poster design 嚟啦，係咪？然後咧喺個 social media 度去宣傳呢張凳原來喺佐敦道嘅邊條街邊個位，然後呼籲啲年青人一齊走去咧陪一啲孤獨老人喺張凳度傾下偈。嗰個 social media 嘅宣傳本身咧，其實又係一個 design 嚟啦。咁所以你會見到我哋係用緊好多唔同形式嘅 design 去諗 social project 嘅，或者諗 social innovation 嘅。
咁我想答翻個問題啦，即係問題就係點樣界定 social design 同埋一個日常生活嘅設計啦。咁就係一個 social design 就係一個比較思維上係比較高級啲一個諗法嘅一個 design 啦。咁日常生活就係比較 basic 啲，係靠近你生活，同埋即係可能你生活上有啲咩需要啊，可能坐下、瞓下、凳下咩嗰啲日常生活嘅一啲設計，就係比較係最 basic 個人生活需要嘅一個設計啦。所以其實就係個分別就界定於一個思維上同埋一個最 basic 自己需要嘅一個分別上咯。
即係話由一個咧 basic needs 去到一個 social needs， 即係有啦，最低限度有呢個層次啦。你個講法就係、
我自己覺得咧，本身日常生活嗰啲設計其實已經係可以 mix 咗 social innovation design 咯。因為其實你見到好多日常生活嘅設計咧，或者一啲我哋叫土炮啲嘅設計啦，你日常生活可能見到有個人攞個汽水罐，又攞嚟裝煙頭，其實某程度上佢都係一個其實幾社會創新嘅一種想法。不過只不過我哋冇一個專業嘅 term 去俾佢哋咯，或者冇一個專業嘅人加咗去將件事變得包裝得更有一個 design 嘅存在啦咁樣。其實所以基本上我認為咧，日常生活嘅設計其實都可以有啲其實都已經係一種 social innovation design 咯。
係啦，就係睇我哋點樣去睇去 address 嗰個 needs 咧，係廣闊過一個生活嘅 basic need 嘅，即係 social needs 或者一個 community needs 咁樣去睇啦。好啦，咁有人問咧個平均嘅 GPA 要求，咁而家 就如果係4 GPA， 咁就我哋就計3.28嘅。如果係4.3 GPA 頂點咧，我哋就可能再要高啲嘅。咁但係我都想提大家咧，我哋呢個 course 雖然新啦，初我哋收生就會低少少嘅 GPA 嘅，但係而家好似越嚟越高啦。舊年就3.28嘅，可能出年再要高少少都唔定嘅啊。咁我哋都係想咧聚集一班咧精英啲嘅學生咯，先有頭先我哋類似我哋嗰啲討論咯。如果嗰啲學生又唔中意睇書啊，又冇一個心去好奇啊，對個社區或者對身邊嘅人咧或者鄰居冇好奇心咧，即係我哋就好難做頭先類似嘅討論咯。咁啊，同學可以分享一下自己遇過最有挑戰性嘅 project 嗎？係啊，嗌交 project 算唔算有挑戰性嘅？
講到呢個係有啲敏感。
咁嗱，呢個即係好多時我哋都要 group project 嘅，咁樣咧好多時，如果我哋唔識同人相處或者有啲係啦，有太自我嘅時候咧，可能就易遇到呢啲問題啦。咁不如你哋講下啦，最有挑戰性嘅，唔使講嗌交嗰啲啦。
我講啦，咁我咁當然而家最有挑戰性一定係 final year project 我做緊嘅，咁但係未做完啊嘛，咁我就講咗個做過啦。咁我就喺 year one sem 2嗰時做咗有讀一科叫 co-creation 嘅，咁就要學習點樣共創咁樣啦。咁係一個組嘅 project 嚟嘅。咁個過程中咧，我哋就要諗辦法點樣吸收一啲意見去做得幫一個公園做得更好。咁嗰個公園就我哋就抽籤嘅，即係全港好多公園㗎嘛。咁我哋抽籤，我抽咗就喺我學校附近嘅摩地道公園啦。咁我哋就要設計一啲用共創嘅方法去吸收一啲意見，然後點樣可以令個公園變得更加有趣，或者變得更加有人多人用嘅咁樣。咁我哋首先嘅第一 part 定係要做 observation 啦。咁就我哋就成日都要落去睇啦，成班一齊落去睇啦。跟住就發現其實個公園真係冇乜人用咯，跟住結果我哋都冇乜嘢好睇到咯。咁之後就係咯，咁之後繼續睇啦，跟住睇下就發現有啲僆仔咧會成日走過去玩，即係唔係咁啱規矩咁樣玩嗰度啲設施，即係可能企喺張凳度跑嚟跑去啊，當行獨木舟咁樣啦。跟住咁我哋捉到呢個要點之後，我哋就同翻個老師講啦。跟住講完之後啦，咁我哋就不如我哋幫佢哋玩得再有趣啲啦咁樣。咁但係個過程裏邊啦，我哋可能諗咗勁耐，諗咗個好正啊個 idea， 應該老師一定會咁呢個遊戲老師一定 buy 我哋㗎啦。跟住個過程就俾老師 ban 橋，仲要一堂俾一堂都 ban 我哋個橋。但係你見到身邊嘅同學仔已經個進程已經係已經個活動已經俾老師批咗啦，你哋可以試下實陳啊咁樣點樣。跟住但係你見到自己個組係0啦，因為個公園其實真係冇乜有趣嘅點啦咁樣。咁但係個最後個解決方法都有趣嘅，就係我哋發現咧，因為 pandemic 啦，咁尖沙咀咧周圍好多酒店嘅，我哋發現好多人咧 staycation 咧等吉房啊，即係等嗰個房咧，原來有陣時未有位嘅喎，咁佢哋就會走去嗰個公園度坐啦。咁我哋就再諗下辦法，點會唔會搞啲飲茶嘅，即係喺嗰個位度搞個下午茶。咁等佢哋又等得舒服啲之餘咧，又好似幾正喎！個公園度一個咁創新嘅 idea 就係喺個公園度食下午茶、飲 tea 咁樣 high tea 咁樣，係咯。咁係啊，so far 最後嘅結果係老師幾中意，攞靚 grade。嗱，
我覺得呢個係一個幾好嘅例子嚟嘅，即係話咧好多時我哋好預期咧話整個公園俾啲小朋友喺度玩啊，其實就係一個唔係好特別嘅發現嚟嘅啫嘛，因為公園啊，梗係好多小朋友喺度玩啦。咁你如果跳出咗呢個咁嘅框框嘅時候咧，咦，原來可以咧招呼啲 staycation 喺度等房嘅人㗎噃。咁即係呢個係一個新嘅 insight 嚟嘅。咁但係呢個 insight 係點樣得出嚟咧？唔係咧即刻諗到嘅，係 係佢哋落過去睇過好多次，撞過好多次板，俾老師 ban 咗好多次，先喺嗰啲芸芸嘅好入嘅 idea 當中咧，打出呢條血路出嚟咯。咁你哋有冇啲咩挑戰啊？
咁我哋暫時到依家都做嘅 project 數量都唔係好多啦。咁但係都已經開始出現咗困難嘅狀況啦。咁就因為我哋做一個 project 就係北角啦，就係落去探討一啲社區一啲隱蔽嘅一啲地方啦。咁我哋基本上一個學期14個禮拜啦，係咪啊？13個禮拜。咁咧，我哋頭嗰一大半都係冇啲咩進步嘅位置啦，都係長期喺北角徘徊啊，喺度揾啲所謂我哋覺得有趣嘅嘢啦，都係每堂俾人 ban 翻啦。咁到最尾咧，就係後尾都係因為一啲後尾發現咗一個好特別嘅點，就係一啲內街咧就好多植物嘅。咁我哋就開始喺個方向度慢慢探索啊，慢慢喺度揾人啦。咁最尾就好彩撞到個種植者，咁我哋就最尾都跟住條線索慢慢探討佢屋企啊，成條內街啊，成個佢哋北角內街個社區嘅一啲關係，咁我哋就最尾出嚟都 OK 嘅。
係啊，講真嗰陣時，如果我哋揾唔到個種植者咧，即係個內街入邊嘅種植者，我唔知我哋之後嗰個 project 個發展會點樣咯。係咯，跟住其實係好似要靠彩數咁樣，同埋咧你 interview 人咧，你係預咗一定要俾人拒絕嘅，或者係你得唔到任何有用嘅資料咯。
咁與其話係彩數啦，咁我覺得係比較我哋學到係應該係多方面咁樣係去即係深入啲揾啲平時見唔到嘅嘢。咁呢個係我哋暫時一個期學到嘅嘢，就係唔好淨係望住部手機啦。平時行街望到啲周邊嘢，望多啲周邊平時好少人注意或者你唔注意嘅嘢咯，係咯。
唔係同埋咧，我成日都要大家咧走落去好多次㗎嘛，係咪？嗱，你而家講到咧就好彩撞到個種植者，但係如果你一個禮拜落去咧半個鐘咧，你點會撞到咧？係咪？係你一個禮拜落足5日。然後咧喺唔同時間度做觀察嘅時候，你先報到嗰個人，你咁啱撞到佢原來咧放工後5點鐘，佢舉例啦，行過嘅時候喺度搞佢啲盆栽嘅，諸如此類，係你用呢個時間去 buy 你嘅彩數㗎嘛，係嘛？咁同埋你落去嘅時候都唔係話，我落去齋喺度等一個種植者出現先咁，因為你落去雖然你係想等佢，咁你都要去八卦問下隔離嗰個人啊，八下嗰間對面嗰間鋪頭其實喺度做緊乜啊？即係你有好多呢啲所謂額外非預期嘅發現呢，其實係慢慢喺嗰個 field work， 即係落區嗰個過程裡面咧，自己唔覺意得到咗，咁你就而家話係一個發現，係嘛？或者係一個彩數咯。但係其實呢個彩數係要你成日去嗰度先有㗎嘛。係啦，唔可以好大概幾時會通知面試啊？我諗。第一 round 咧，可能3月中到啦，就會通知你哋啦。咁呢個就係要睇睇我哋個疫情係點樣樣啦。即係話，如果疫情嚴峻嘅時候咧，我哋都冇辦法，可能都係要用 YouTube 啦，或者要用一個 online 形式啦。但係如果疫情唔係咁嚴峻嘅時候咧，我哋都盡量上 face to face 啦，咁就係啦。頭先有一條問題就問係咪任何科目咧都有機會考入去 social design？嗱，我嘅理想就係嘅，因為咧除咗有 social science 嘅同學或者有唔同界別嘅 design 同學之外咧，我其實都好想有啲 business 嘅同學啊，或者咧搞開Technology AI 嗰啲同學啊，一齊咧讀醫科嘅， 咁樣當然我哋喺嗰個收生準則度都好似有 mention 啦，譬如係 business 嘅同學啦，或者係 technology driven 嘅同學都有嘅。但係而家 so far 咧，我就覺得主要都係 social design，即係個名可能個決定咗啲人嘅報讀啦嚇。咁
不過我可以補充喎，我哋班咧係有同學真係讀 business 升上嚟嘅咯。我唔知啊，佢讀 marketing 咯，係啊。係啊係啊。係真係有好多，我會話有其他科嘅，唔係真係冇嘅。係。咁我就盡量想開闊我哋個收生嘅來源。咁點解係咁做咧？就係因為 social design 頭先阿 Gigi 一開始都講咗啦，就係要去建立一啲人際網絡啊、社會關係啊咁樣樣。而呢啲去建立呢啲社會關係咧，其實係想關懷嗰個社區，關懷嗰個羣體可以點樣去自我組織嚇，或者去自我完善啊嘛。咁所以咧，我哋唔係呢個羣體唔單止淨係得讀 social science 嘅人或者係 design 嘅人噶嘛。咁即係話有啲 business 嘅人，咁佢可以或者 marketing 嘅人，佢可以幫手推廣一啲 ideas 啦。如果識 technology 嘅人咧，佢可以幫手去做一啲 apps 啊，然後去用一啲咁嘅技術科技啦，去帶動嗰個社會創新嘅 project 啊，咁樣樣啦。係。咁係咪頭先仲有啲問題㗎？而家睇唔到。跳咗，係啦，而家就14至18號2月咧，就要 submit 你哋嘅 online portfolio 同埋你個 personal statement，OK？即係情人節嗰日嚇，至到18號，咁你實記得啦，係咪？咁啊拍完拖就即刻記住，仲有幾日咧就要deadline 㗎啦，就要去 submit 你哋嘅 online portfolio。我再提多一次 portfolio 就係你哋嘅學習經歷嘅記錄。OK， 如果 social science 嘅或者 design 嘅同學都大家有不同理解嘅，唔緊要，我哋會睇得明㗎啦。咁係咪時間都差唔多啦？仲有冇一啲問題添啊？Link can be found at the portfolio guidelines document。即係如果你想清楚究竟咧，其實要交啲乜咧，我哋喺嗰個網頁上邊有一張 A4 紙係寫咗一啲叫做 portfolio guideline 嘅。如果你跟住去當做一個 checklist 咁樣啦，去check 下自己有冇交齊嘢啦，咁你就應該 OK 㗎啦。咁時間都差唔多咯喎，咁如果冇乜 further question 咧，我哋講再見咯喎，拜拜，出年見，係咪下學期見？